Cloverdale City Council meeting. Sorry, we're starting about a minute late, and also our live stream is down. They're working on it this time, so any folks at home that can't see it, they're working on it. Hopefully that comes up for the record. Thank you for attending. Please join me, call the meeting to order, and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Righty. Okay, roll call. I see all council members are present. There is no report out on closed session. Any conflict of interest declarations from anyone? Seeing none. Agenda review, changes or deletions?
No
Seeing
changes.
none. Okay. All right, public comment, verbal comments. Any person wishing to speak on an item not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council is not allowed to consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. 3 minutes are allotted to each speaker. It's open public comment. Do we have any public comment? Yeah.
My name is Elsa Homa, and I am a resident of Cloverdale. He was working on some research.
Through the mayor, can I respond to that a little bit? Elsa, for clarification, we actually did have a meeting our last meeting, we had a presentation done by the chief, and it was a very informative, and so I would actually recommend maybe reaching out and seeing if you could have a quick meeting with him or watch our meeting on YouTube to hear what we've done so far and what the chief has been working on. But it would be our meeting on YouTube. So it's very informative, and it answers 99% of what you just asked about. Oh gosh, it was 2 weeks ago. March 11th.
11 March.
March 11th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, before the incident.
Yeah, if you just go onto YouTube and you put in Cloverdale City Council, March 11th, 2026, that meeting will come up, and if you watch, you can see the chief's presentation. And he had really good slides. And any other questions you have, just come to us. We just can't discuss it here because it's under public comment right now. So.
You don't mind, I have to go to work, so thank you for addressing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Check, check. This one's working. That one working? Can everybody test their microphones really quick? Just make sure we're operational.
Check.
Check.
Testing. Is mine working?
Hello?
Here you go. We could share this one. Mike, you can use this one.
All right, let's get back to public comments. Is there any other public comments?
Testing? Oh, good, works. This is a follow-up to last council meeting's endorsement of funding for SMART. And there's been much written lately about the SMART train, both in places like the Press Democrat and the Marin Independent Journal. We're told that this diesel-powered train requires a sales tax to remain solvent. The question I have is, when will the public train break even? That is, become self-sufficient? When will the subsidies end? That is, when will free rides be terminated when SMART management deems a broad swath of the target market has been reached? What would an all-access monthly pass on SMART cost once these subsidies are removed? There are many unanswered questions from SMART and its supporters. It's interesting to note that policing and libraries, with things such as the Bibliobus, are accessible to everyone in the county, but not SMART itself. It turns out that with SMART running alongside Highway 101, residents are paying for a heavily subsidized polluting transit system which targets a small segment of the Sonoma County population, with a management team that seeks more tax dollars for decades to come in order to support its inefficiency and its inability to make operations break even. So my question is, why are we paying for that? Why are we supporting it? Why do we want to keep paying for that? Maybe it's time for SMART to become self-sufficient. And so that's why I wasn't happy with our endorsement, considering that SMART is still not here in Cloverdale, yet we apparently have a station ready to accommodate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob. Any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Annabelle Burke, and I live in Cloverdale. In 2020, I had a vision of the Earth from really far away, and you could see the sun, and all the continents were unrecognizable, and it was there was no clouds at all, and it was completely shellacked in the really thick layers of shellac, which means defeated. And recently, like last week, I watched a weather show. It was called Weather West. And he showed a satellite picture of the United States, Canada, and Mexico. You could only see part of Mexico and part of Canada. But there were 0 clouds for 21 states. And I was shocked by that because it reminded me of my vision that I'd had. This week, someone that I know who lives in Geyserville told me that they're going to build a new apartment complex of 93 buildings. And each condo has between 3 and 5 bedrooms. And so that's a lot of people. And also, she told me that California, I think it was called California American Water Company, one of their wells went dry, so they want to drill a new well. And it's in a residential area where there's like really a small area. And she told me that the well was going to be 6,000 feet deep, which is kind of ridiculous sounding. But I looked it up, and that's the only number that I could find for how deep it was going to be. And the residents are really worried about, other than the sound, it's an industrial well, and the pump will be 100 feet down. And they're very concerned about the depth of the well, and they're afraid that it will take their water, which there's a lot of, it doesn't, like, the wells don't fill up with the water very fast anymore. So let's recharge. So I was wondering, we have the same aquifer we share an aquifer with Geyserville called Alexander Valley Cloverdale Area Groundwater and Subbasin. And if they build a lot of apartments and we build like Esmeralda, I'm concerned that no one's really paying attention to how much water there really is. I'm wondering how many wells have gone dry in Cloverdale. No one talks about that. There's a 60-year drought. The West there's no small snow on the mountains.
Excuse me, Annabelle, could we wrap it up here at 3 minutes?
I'm sorry. Yeah. So that was what I wanted to know, that people can have to work together, and I don't see any of that, and I don't feel that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Is it okay if I get a microphone? I'm actually not moving.
Yeah, yeah.
She's got it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I thought I could walk, but I'm waiting for my medicine to kick in. Okay. My name's Jennifer Sullivan. I live in Cloverdale. I moved to Cloverdale in 2018, and I've never opposed anything. If you knew me, you'd know I'm easygoing, I love people, and I'm grateful for every day. But Esmeralda is different, and this is why I'm here. Esmeralda is not an average development, and it is not the Alexander Valley Resort project analyzed in 2009. Using the 2009 EIR with the third addendum to approve Esmeralda is not a minor technical update to a stable site. It is a materially changed project proposed on a deed-restricted contaminated property under changed regional conditions with substantial new information regarding residual contamination, groundwater, land use restrictions, and the rail corridor. That is exactly the kind of situation that requires a subsequent EIR, not an addendum. And that is exactly what concerns me. In Michael Yarney's own email, he describes future testing, a human health risk assessment, a risk management plan, possible further remediation, and even possible additional deed restrictions as things that will be worked out later. It sounds like promises now for approval, with the details to be figured out afterward. A project of this size on a site like this should not be approved first and analyzed later. So I'm asking the city and this council to do something simple. Find a comparable site. Find a former wood treatment facility anywhere in the United States contaminated with pentachlorophenol, with contaminated groundwater in fractured bedrock beneath the site, subject to deed restrictions and a land use covenant that was actually redeveloped for residential use, not an adjacent neighborhood, not for homes nearby, but on the former wood treatment property itself. Esmeralda and the site that they want to develop are different. I'm also asking for a future agenda item where the city manager and city attorney present what the city has identified as the benefits of Esmeralda and what it is identified as the negatives, the assumptions and how the assumptions for such analysis was made, and then open that meeting for a public Q&A. Right now, Esmeralda is the one presenting, and residents with legitimate concerns and questions are being directed back to Esmeralda for the answers. I believe the residents of Cloverdale deserve more. We deserve a presentation from our city leaders and a Q&A session with answers from the city, not the developer. This Q&A is an opportunity to get Esmeralda on the agenda as well. People keep asking when the subject will be discussed. What we have now, and I'm super grateful for it, what we have now is a public comment period that allows me and others to say what we want to say. but there isn't the back and forth discussion that needs to happen and that I believe should happen for such a consequential development. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Dana Starr, and a couple topics. First one regarding Esmeralda. Esmeralda repeatedly states they are community-oriented. They also state, per law, no housing will be built on contaminated zones, so no problems for investors. Wealthy owners will have limited exposure. They also state that hotels, etc., can be built on contaminated zones. So hotel occupants as well have limited exposure. However, the low-paying hotel staff with consistent work will have ongoing exposure. That, to me, does not seem community-oriented. Esmeralda, as Jennifer Sullivan has brought up, so many more reasonable questions about the Regional Water Quality Board's decision to close its case in the written documentation for today. For those who haven't read through that, I think it would be a nice way to get some base, the long history, lots of perspective, including the responses back from Esmeralda staff. They see her, so with all of that she's put in there, I don't want to regurgitate all of that. But basically, I can only question, why does Esmeralda not want to have current information, meaning a new ERR, to show us the community that they so care about, that their project is appropriate for Cloverdale? Also, why does our city council not ask for it? And then on Esmeralda, again, they state soils will be moved or removed to benefit others. Who or how will confirmation that contaminated soils don't accidentally get relocated to, say, the area they're donating to the city or someone else? I'd like to know, how can I tell that Esmeralda has the city's interest in mind? And how can I tell that my city council has the city of Cloverdale's and the community's well-being in mind? And a separate issue, just a small thing, perhaps. Cloverdale's governance manual, section 8.7 on dress code, states, and this is a regurgitation myself, that no logos, branding, items, or wear be visible during meetings other than the city-issued identifiers. And I currently see one, maybe two items, actually two, that I saw also at the last meeting visible right now that could be construed as self-advertising. And I'd like to know how that goes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
We're not super prepared. We've been thinking of one of them. Go ahead.
My name is Natalie McKay. I'm also up here to talk about Esmeralda. I'd likewise like to see an updated EIR report for this project. We work for a general contractor, so I'm an estimator, so reading these kinds of documents is like a daily thing for me, and I'd really like to dive into it. I submitted a request earlier stating that I made a Civic Plus account trying to get access to the city's documents on Esmeralda. I didn't receive a direct response. I see that it's on the agenda. It's like something that won't be discussed directly today, but I just want to bring it up again to see if kind of remind you all, like I'm still waiting for all that access. And likewise, I'd like to repeat Jennifer's request for a public Q&A. I think that there's a lot of people around here who are concerned about water, and the Esmeralda project can have a lot of influence along on other communities along the Russian River, where we're all pulling our water from. So I think that opening up that Q&A and public outreach into surrounding communities would be valuable as well. I mean, there's a lot of projects like this in this area, but this is one that really matters to people here in Cloverdale, obviously. So, but that's all I have. Go ahead.
My name is Satara. Something that I'm curious about is, I just don't fully understand the, what they're calling the Twinkie, so the remediated fill area. It sounds like, and I've worked on remediation projects before, it sounds like they brought in clean soil, mixed it with a contaminated material, and it's now at a point that any runoff is assumed, it's low enough concentration that it's not going to be a major concern. But I guess, it makes sense to say that, okay, this is now reusable fill. We can use this in other parts of the project. That totally makes sense to me. However, I'm curious about what the plan is, because it sounds like that area is like a berm, pretty like adjacent to the floodplain or on the floodplain. And from the last, we watched the public meeting with Esmeralda from last month. It seemed like there wasn't a plan to address the floodplain, and to address the fact that you're pulling all of that material. If there's a major storm event, what's going to happen is the hotel in the footprint of the floodplain. These are just things that I want clarification on and can't find anything online. So we would like more documentation, more information.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I know it's a stop, but that was one of the documents that was shared in that meeting, and they're on the city's website. It says that those were all shared as a part of the online meeting, but I can't access those. That's why I reached out about that, was to get access to those documents.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm Sally Pringle, and I'm a Cloverdale resident, and I'd like to address the Esmeralda, the Twinkie area. And I had brought this question up to Devon, I think it was in November at the city council meeting, and with a lot of concern about the Twinkie area. And she explained that they would be moving the wood chips and the contaminated soil, and then redirecting the river water that flows and floods on the west side over to their end. So the water would actually go into that Twinkie area after they remove the contamination. And I have personally spoken to 3 different Cloverdale residents, people who have worked on that site, who were removed from that site when there was cleanup that was obviously corrupt because it wasn't done properly. And there's grave concerns about all of the contamination in the Twinkie area, and moving anything and redirecting water into that area and having it run into the river, contaminating anyone downstream or affecting the salmon or the rivers, or the ecological damage is absolutely atrocious. So I am totally against that. We have serious water issues. I also heard that you guys have spent $200,000 on 2 per well to have them tested, thinking that you're going to get 200 gallons and per whatever, and you're getting 50. And so where's the water going to be coming from? And we've already experienced great droughts in 2014 when nobody could water their landscaping, and people were being threatened of their food resources, and now we have all this stuff going on over in the Middle East where they're like bombing everyone and all of our like food resources are threatened, and nobody's been thinking about the resiliency of this community. And I come from Willits. The last 15 years I lived up there, and I see that that community is constantly, at least twice a month, having food resiliency gatherings, and there's gardens all over that community that can feed that community, and we don't have any of that going on. We have water wars going on and wells drying up, and
Ms. Pringle, can you wrap it up, please?
recklessness.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. You guys know me. I've tried to get up and talk a couple times. Thank you, City Council. Thank you to Cloverdale.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Jubal Koss. I've been here like 45 years. I worked on the site for 5 years. The Twinkie, I dumped hundreds of loads of material that wasn't supposed to go there. Logs, contaminated waste, over and over and over again. But the Twinkie isn't the problem. It's the pentachlorophenol that was above. It's the edge of what they're saying, where they're going to build the motel. And I'm telling you, if the city gets stuck with this, it's going to be millions of yards of cleanup, millions. It's bad. It's not good. I mean, I don't know. I'm not against growth. But we have to do something about this. It's not right. People have died. They've died from cancer over and over and over again. It's not right. I mean, build some houses, but clean up. It needs to be cleaned up. Please, you guys, please. I mean, I know we need money. I know we need revenue, but this is not the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, we will close public comment at this time, seeing none. And we have written comments in there. They are part of the record and part of the agenda. If you guys would like to read them, they're on there. All right, we'll move into C, Student Liaison Report. Student Liaison.
Hello, I'm Valeria Anguiano, and in March, Cloverdale High School focused on academic planning for the upcoming school year scholarship college workshops, such as the WACA Sonoma County College Fair on Wednesday, March 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Pioneer High School in Santa Rosa. There have been a lot of field trips lately last week and this week. We have had 4 FFA, 1 child development, 1 AVID, and 1 senior field trip. Cloverdale High School events. Prom at the Cloverdale Via Chanticleer in Hillsburg on Saturday, April 11, 2026 from 7 to 11 p.m. Prices are from $55 per person and $65 per guest, including underclassmen. Tickets will be now available through GoFan. For those who prefer to pay with credit card, a GoFan fee will be added to each purchase. Spring break from May 30th through April 6th. Family and community engagement. Parents and caregivers are invited to boost their capacity to support youth mental health in a series of free bilingual virtual workshops hosted by Sonoma County Office of Education and community partners. School climate and student life. We are currently confirming the details for our senior trip. The date will be April 23rd. We are unsure about the cost at this point. We are still looking for on that. We will communicate that as soon as possible. Seniors will need to commit before we leave on spring break on March 27th so we can finalize the plans. Students are taking SABR's social emotional screeners this week. Our counseling team will follow up with the students to indicate they may need additional support. FFA will attended state conference in LA.
Thank you. Any comments from the council? Thank you. Seeing none? All right. Bear with me here. There we go.
Just want to take a moment to offer the vice mayor an opportunity to remove his logos from the dais.
Thanks for that time.
That is a FPPC violation, and I don't want the city to be liable. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to remove it, please.
Okay, folks, we're not going to take shots at each other. So,
Can I ask our attorney to step in, please?
So as you know, if you believe a governance manual has been violated, you can submit, there's a process in there for submitting of complaints that you could follow. We don't enforce FPPC rules. You have to contact the FPPC if you think that that's been violated.
Okay. I just don't want the city to be liable.
The city would not be liable. This isn't on the agenda, so we shouldn't be discussing it any further.
all right, let's move into Proclamation Women's History Month. And we have recipient of Mackenzie Gladden here to accept. So if the Vice Mayor would like to go ahead and read that.
Proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cloverdale proclaiming March 2026 Women's History Month in Cloverdale. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of Cloverdale in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas women have played a critical role in shaping the economic, cultural, and social fabric of our society through their participation in the labor force, working both inside and outside the home, in leadership positions, and through creative inspiration. Whereas National Women's History Month provides an opportunity for schools and communities to increase knowledge among our children and our community of women's roles in history and their contributions to the development of this nation. Whereas the story of American women is the story of women of all ages, races, and cultural backgrounds who led campaigns for equality and civil rights, advanced professional and educational opportunities, founded entirely new enterprises, and contributed significantly to the arts, sciences, and humanistic causes. And whereas women from every background have long realized that an uneven playing field will never bring equality or justice, and as members of families, civic and community groups, businesses, and legislative bodies, women are in the forefront of reevaluating the status quo. And whereas the 2026 theme for National Women's History Month is Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future, which recognizes the leadership of women in addressing global challenges and advancing environmental, economic, and social sustainability. Whereas Women's History Month highlights the interconnected challenges facing our communities and important role women play in shaping resilient and sustainable futures. Whereas Women's History Month is both a call to acknowledge outstanding women we know by name and to pay homage to the nameless women who have contributed to our nation and city. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that March 2026 is designated as Women's History Month in Cloverdale in recognition of the significant role played by women whose courage and vision inspire hope and possibility for today's women to make tomorrow's history. Dated March 25th, 2026, so ordered, Brian Wheeler, the mayor.
All right. All right. Kenzie, would you like to come down? Yes, yeah. Mackenzie, you can bring family, friends, whoever you got here. Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah. All right, Mackenzie, if you could you explain your accomplishment?
What day was it? I don't remember. During wrestling league, it was for middle school. I decided to go into the boys league because all of the girls, it was 3 of us who decided to go into the girls league because we just wanted a little more battle. And I went in there and I was just thinking I wanted to win and I wanted to be the first because my coach was telling me that no girl has ever done it. So he was really pushing me to do this.
and was really just helping me through it and telling me like I could do this, and he really helped me through it. And I went in there and I placed first in the boys league of varsity.
Awesome. Great job. Does council have any questions for Mackenzie?
Congratulations, and that women's history, you're making history. And,
Thank you.
Congratulations to you and your parents as well.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mackenzie, good job. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. I've got 2 girls of my own, and I've always told them, go for it. Don't let anybody stop you. So it sounds like you have your parents raised you right, and you've got good things ahead of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, around 2020, 2021, this wrestling program started back up in Cloverdale with some really determined coaches and parents and kids. And it went from 2 to almost 50 at one point. It was insane. It was at a time where you couldn't use the gyms because there wasn't enough space and other things going on in our environment. And they were throwing wrestling mats down in my shop. They were throwing wrestling mats down in garages. And it was kids like you and your parents. I know your dad's been involved in this for a long time. And it's because of the determination and hard work that you guys have put in over the years that you're at this place that you are. I know that you don't always just beat up on people on the wrestling mat. I think you're awesome, and you're a force to be reckoned with. You've had a lot of adversity this year, you know, with the loss of a coach and things that have happened with you guys. And so being a friend to Jason, this is huge. This is Cloverdale history, and you made it. And so we thank you.
Thank you.
Mackenzie, thank you. I just wanted to these guys kind of said it all, but you stepped up. You're standing here. You're a Cloverdale hero. You know what I mean? Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Keep doing what you do. The town is proud of you, and that's why you're down here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you mind if we come down and get a picture with you and the family? Oh.
All right, you did a good job on this.
I'd shake your hand, but I don't want you to take me down or anything.
Dude, got a little tear in my eye.
Could you bring it with you?
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Way to go, Mom.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sunny's over there. Let's do that one more time. Get that finger up. Number 1. We got one more time. Actually, let's all do it. Got a finger up. Number 1. First time. Making history. Congratulations. Cool.
Thank you.
Congrats. Appreciate you. If you want. They're heading out already.
Okay.
We'll go on social.
All right, we have a quick, Councilmember Marquez would like to make a quick comment.
Thank you, Mayor. Just before we jump into the next proclamation, do want to recognize the women of Cloverdale for speaking up, the folks who have advocated for fairness, safety, and accountability even when it's not easy. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next proclamation is Government Finance Professionals Week. And you can do that? Okay.
A proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cloverdale declaring March 23 to 27, 2026, Government Finance Professionals Week in Cloverdale. Whereas government finance professionals serve cities, counties, special districts, and joint powers authorities by ensuing transparency, accountability, and reasonable stewardship of public funds. And whereas these professionals play a critical role in managing complex budgets, complying with state and federal laws, maintaining accurate financial reporting in accordance with government accounting standards, administering utility rate processes and enterprise funds, and supporting long-term financial sustainability. And whereas government finance professionals safeguard public resources by promoting fiscal responsibility, long-term planning, and public trust through sound financial management practices. And whereas government finance professionals support transparency by making complex financial information accessible and understandable to elected officials and the public, including through the City of Cloverdale's online budget resources available at www.cloverdale.net. And whereas in Cloverdale, the finance department consists of a 5-member team dedicated to serving residents and supporting all city departments and divisions, including customer service at the front counter via email and by phone, as well as accounts payable, accounts receivable, utility billing and service monitoring, payroll, and administration of contracts and agreements. Whereas recognizing government finance professionals Week highlights the dedication, integrity, and professionalism of the City of Cloverdale's financial professionals and their essential service to the community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that March 23 to 27, 2026 is designated as Government Finance Professionals Week in the City of Cloverdale, and residents are encouraged to recognize and appreciate the contributions of finance professionals who support the city's fiscal, health, and public services, dated March 25, 2026, so ordered by Brian Wheeler, Mayor.
Come on down, Susie.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. As someone in finance, I admit we don't usually get proclamations. We usually get spreadsheets handed to us. So this is a nice change, but we're much more comfortable behind the screens and with the spreadsheets. But truly, this recognition belongs to the whole finance team. They're the ones that make sure that everything adds up, gets paid, and just keeps the wheels moving behind the scenes. It's not always glamorous work, but it's important work, and they do it exceptionally well. I feel fortunate to work with a dedicated team and to serve the community like Cloverdale. We care deeply about the community and being good stewards of the public resources, and it means a lot to have this recognition, so thank you very much.
Speech, all right, you did that. Now it's picture time. Oh, any comments for Susie? Sorry. Susie, hang on. Sorry, I'm sorry. Any comments from the council?
Thank you, Susie, for recognizing the rest of the staff, and really want to appreciate you as city staff too, and your hands-on work with residents and business owners. That's a real personal touch that you offer our city. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you for the important work that you do, and the budget is like one of the most important parts of the city, and you keep it running, and you always answer questions, and you always make yourself available, so I want to thank you so much.
Susie, congratulations. And I always like to use the term the unsung heroes, because what happens in the background, you're like the Wizard of Oz. No one knows, but you sure do, and you make it happen. Thank you so much. And the residents, thank you.
Yeah. You are the person behind the curtain. Yeah. You know, small towns are different, and people don't realize the different hats that people wear when you're in a small town versus like you go to Santa Rosa and there's 5 or 6 people on your staff for what you do. And so a lot of personal touch goes into everything you do. And, you know, and we're very appreciative. And I'm on year 6 with you, and I can't thank you enough. So.
Thank you, Susie. You're awesome, you know, and you have all the answers where you find them, and you're an integral part of this thing working. So thank you very much. And even though, you know, you guys roam around over Dally and Sage all the time, but that's all right. We'll cut you some slack, but thank you very much. You do a great job, and everybody appreciates it. The staff appreciates it. So thank you. Let's do a picture. Photo time. All right, let's move into E, presentations. We have a presentation from PIO Maloney and Park Superintendent Galvin on the community garden.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just give me 1 second to pull this up. Make this full screen for everybody if I can see. Control L, someday I'll remember that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first few slides and we'll finish off with Superintendent Galvan. As at the council's direction, we put out a survey for the community garden and I'm going to be giving you the results tonight. So a little background on February 25th, 26, council considered a new business item regarding the potential development of a community garden at Ferber Park. Council directed staff to conduct a community survey and return with the results at the March 25th meeting. Tonight, council is reviewing the results and being asked to provide general direction, since it is just a presentation, to staff on next steps. So just a little bit about the outreach. Created the flyer to the right with the QR code. That flyer went out on our website's main page, our socials.
Hey, Chief.
Hey, Chief.
Sorry. It's all right.
I'm deaf. I can't hear like when they're doing that. So this is what I wanted to hear. Thank you. I really appreciate whoever told me.
All right, so we went ahead and made that flyer to the right with the QR code. The flyer went out on our website's main page, both our social medias, being Facebook and Instagram. It went out on our newsletter. We put it in the parks themselves and the kiosks, as well as City Hall's kiosks. And City Manager Thompson announced it at the March 11th meeting during his city manager report. Excuse me. So we had approximately 200 folks fill it out, which was great. It was only open for about 2 weeks. As you can see, I'm gonna fly through these first few, but you can see about 90% of folks that filled it out. Sorry, I can't see this very well. 80% of folks that filled this out live within Cloverdale city limits. You can see, sorry, I gotta move some of these things off my screen so we can actually see these slides. All right. And you can see the different age categories. We basically wanted to look at youth, teen, adult, and seniors. Adults being the primary. Of course, it did have the biggest age bracket being 18 to 64. But quite a few folks filled it out. Big question here was, would you be even interested in participating in a community garden? This is gauging whether or not Cloverdale residents want to see one. And we got mixed results, but 70 folks responded yes, 69 responded no, and 74 said maybe. If you selected yes or maybe, how would you like to be involved? As you can see, there was an array of options, being whether you're attending a plot, teaching a class, or going to a class. And there was a few other responses, which we can give you separately later if you'd like. What factors are most important when selecting a location? As you can see, there are quite a few on here. The primary being water and sunlight, which is, of course, necessary for a garden. The remaining ones, as you can see, are shade on site, walkability within the town, etc. And I'd like you to keep these factors in mind, because when we get to our last slide, some of the site recommendations is based on these factors. Would you be willing to pay a small annual plot fee to reserve a plot and support maintenance and water costs? This was about 50-50, more 55-45%. Yes versus no. And this is partially so the city can understand should council want to consider and move forward what the program might look like. We're not looking for those answers tonight, and we're not going to be presenting you with our ideas quite yet. That was just more so we can understand what the community's interest is in that aspect of it. What concerns, if any, do you have a community garden in Cloverdale? We had hundreds of responses, as I said, so I put this into AI and got some commonality themes put out, which responses primarily focused on concerns related to vandalism, ongoing maintenance, and long-term upkeep of the garden. Additional concerns included security, equitable access, and ensuring adequate space and organization for participants. Most respondents expressed no specific concerns. The next question was if you are part of the community organization, nonprofit, school business, or other group that may be interested in sponsoring, supporting, teaching at, or partnering in a community garden, we asked them for information. We're not presenting that information to you today, just the themes. Responses indicate interest from local organizations, school-affiliated groups, and businesses, including support, volunteer, and maintenance roles. A significant portion of respondents indicated they are not affiliated with an organization or did not provide applicable information. Staff will follow up with interested respondents depending on council's direction. Many of the respondents gave us their contact information. We'll be able to reach back out to them dependent on your direction today. If the city were to develop a community garden, where would you suggest it be located? Please be specific. Location must be on city-owned property was the next. Ferber Park had 25. General Park, unspecified, was 18. Just basically showing that a park is of big interest to the community. Downtown Cloverdale Boulevard near businesses had 17. On school sites was 13. Plaza Park had 6. Clover Springs Surprise Hill area had 6. River Park had 2. Vacant general city-owned land non-specific had 2. Unsure or no location provided had 22. And there were quite a few unique suggestions not meeting the criteria. Same with the school sites. So you could really add that to be about 65 or so of the responses. While they were specific, the location needs to be on city-owned property. So those ones, unfortunately, a few of them, Superintendent Galvan and I verified that were not city property, some of the suggestions that we received. But those were the results for that question. The themes for that were responses show a clear preference for locating a community garden in park settings, with Ferber Park as the most frequently suggested site. Many respondents also emphasized central walkable locations, particularly near downtown. A large portion of responses were non-specific or flexible, indicating strong interest in the project but less consensus on a precise location. A notable number of suggestions also identified sites that are not city-owned, as I said, whether it's CUSD or private properties, which didn't meet the project requirements. So that brings us to, that's the end of the survey results. I'm going to head this over to Superintendent Galvan to go over staff's continued recommendation.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so site recommendations, staff continues to recommend development of a community garden at the southwest corner of Ferber Park. The survey results support this recommendation, with Ferber Park identified as the most frequently suggested specific location. And that's thank you for zooming in on that one too. That's that location right there between the creek and Elbridge. And this is one of the reasons why this location, we thought it would be a good, suitable location for the community garden. It wasn't just reviewed by myself, but there was review by other city staff and community members, which meets the whole criteria, including access, amenities, overall sustainability for the project. And if you go down that checklist, parking is available, which is one of the biggest issues that we have, not just in downtown, but just in general. 88 access. It has 88 access on both coming off Foothill Boulevard and Elbridge and coming off that parking lot. Walkability. Like Mike mentioned earlier in the survey, you can walk to it, and from it. And then it's right in the middle of a neighborhood, which also is a plus. This is one of the big ones right here. Access to water. There's currently water on site on top of that, so that's one of the biggest costs. Obviously, water and parking. You could see in that image right there, that building right there. Those are the restrooms. So it's got some restrooms nearby, and safety. So currently, Ferber Park, we have a camera system that's being monitored by myself and the police department. And so we did a little bit of research, and we think we might be able to get a third camera on this side near the parking lot somewhere to get some extra surveillance into the garden if it goes through, depending on you guys' recommendations. Shade on site. It's kind of hard to see in this image, but near the creek there's a few large trees that we can prune and put some picnic tables under those, which would be good for shade. And then we can put some picnic tables there, and then just, you can't see it on this image, but there's a footbridge near the parking lot, and directly across there's a drinking fountain with both a doggy station or a doggy filler drinking fountain and a bottle filler, and then just ADA fountain as well. And yeah, I mean, it's everything is near other parks. We just figured that if we want to make something happen quick with the minimum cost, this will be the location. From a construction point of view, we can build, depending on the recommendations for today, we can, as we move forward, we can do most of this in-house. So we'll be able to build it in-house without just maybe a few materials and maybe a couple rentals for equipment, but we will be able to do most of the work in-house, which will save a lot of money.
Thank you, Hector. So to finish out the presentation, we just want to reiterate council's consideration today. Based on the survey results, staff is seeking general council direction on the proposed development of a community garden. We do recommend development at the southwest corner of Ferber Park. If council supports this project, staff will return with a proposed budget amendment for formal consideration. Council may also provide alternative direction. If anybody from the public or press are interested in contacting staff, here's our contact information, and that concludes our presentation.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments from council? Go ahead.
So I did do some research, went down to Windsor, met Sherry Benner, Jeannie Knapp, who are Garden Club members down in Windsor, and they gave me a tour of the Windsor Community Garden. It was a good story. They've been successful for over 20 years and did give me a bunch of background on what's been successful for them. I think one of the key things was having a core group that would be admins or a committee. I did kind of reach out to the community and got 3 people that said that they would not just want to plot there, but actually take that larger step. So that crucial role is important. I think that would be a good next step for that I would like to see us take is reach out to folks who have submitted their name and assemble a committee of admins and folks that are going to be there year round to do kind of keep everything in order. A couple of the other key items that were mentioned were storage on site, so like a shed to keep tools, as well as kind of house the sprinkler system, and also maybe like tables that would be prep tables and things like that.
Yeah, that's what we're planning on doing. If everything works out, we're thinking about not only just setting a few picnic tables near the trees, but also design the park so we can set up a few picnic tables in the middle of it, somewhere in the middle. Somewhere there away from, so folks can still, while they're gardening, they can sit.
Okay.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
So I think maybe even kind of coming up, identifying maybe a cost to the city. I know there was other aspects that, they were getting mulch from, tree service that would at least be for the ground mulch. And, I think we could also maybe get some possible donations of wood and work to put this together. So,
Great.
Yeah,
great.
I'd like to see this move forward.
One thing I think we should keep in mind is maybe we should give people that don't have any sort of yard to garden in first priority. So it's not people with homes or, people with a condo with a little yard in the back, but people who literally have nowhere to plant anything. And then the other thing that I noticed is, okay, there's 25 people said Ferber Park, 17 people said downtown. Cloverdale has a population of what, like 9,000? So this is just like a small percentage. Personally, I still think something downtown where everyone could walk to or get to, because everyone at some point comes downtown to go to like a restaurant or something, I don't know. I still think that would be my priority, and I think these numbers are kind of small, and 25 minus 17 is only 8 people that said Ferber Park. So anyway, that's just what I think. But, and that if we do put in more benches and picnic tables, I would hope that we could use metal instead of wood because ticks are attracted to wood.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. There's, a city of 9,000 people, and there's very limited input on a city, what we're trying to do to help the community and get involved, and only a small portion of the community came out. But those people that came out are passionate about it, and they, I think all the check marks for that site are a good start. And I think to Councilperson Morgansen's point is maybe we start here, see how it goes, and then see alternative sites that we could, branch out and take our learning from here and then move it throughout the city if it seems to come to fruition. So.
And Councilmember, to your point, one thing I didn't note on this slide, as it shows 70 folks were interested in yes, 74 maybes. The site that we're interested in would no way be able to house that many folks either way.
He took my line. Thank you guys for creating yet another thing that will benefit our community. With a lot of our lower income population, food is going to be a necessity as prices go up and incomes don't. So this is just one more thing that'll help. And I was going to say, we couldn't fit 25 people on that plot that want to have a space. And so this is more than enough people to take on a community garden. And I'm excited about it and seeing your proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector, Mike, for getting this survey done so quick. I know we kicked it around and that was one of the obvious locations there. But like Councilmember Lasky said, this could be the template to go out and if we can make this successful using Windsor's knowledge down there, they've done a good job. I've been to that garden many times. They've got it all set up pretty good down there. There's good security. If this one goes good, absolutely. The spaces that we have in town, if we can find another one and we can get people to agree on it, would be great. This isn't the one and only. If we can find another spot, have a different garden. Also, I agree with Councilmember Morgenstern. We should give priority to people. If you have a spot to grow a garden at your house, then, I'd say do that. Let these people that do not have any space to go garden, that's the whole theory behind this. There's also classes that can be taught. We have master gardeners in town. We have some phenomenal gardeners in this town. And I think if this gets set up, it's going to catch wind and people are going to come down and want to see it. And then we can start talking, start networking, and this thing's going to be successful. So one of my questions was the tables. You answered that under those oak trees down there. Perfect spot for some shade and sit back in there. But it does check all the boxes. ADA, water, bathrooms. I mean, it's got it all down there. So I think this would be a good starting point and see what we can do. And also, when you said in-house, I mean, how hard is it to level that thing? Do we have the people here that can have that?
So we actually have some really good operators on staff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention his name out here because he might not like it, but we have some really good operators that work with us. And we've met just a couple of times out there just to take a look. It shouldn't be a problem for us to undertake a project like this, to build it. And I agree with all your comments. I think all your comments are great. We do need a shed to put the tools, so we can accommodate that.
Thank you.
We do need more garden areas near downtown. I agree with everybody's comments about maybe this is the first one, and then we can start from there and keep building. Especially like Mayor Lance, Vice Mayor Lance said, about there's low income, less fortunate families here that do need a garden, and
a lot of the thing, one last comment, a lot of the things when it comes to building these plots too, and everybody having their individual plot, when we're mentioning low income is donating. And I know a lot of folks, I've personally donated some stuff already down there that could be used if it goes through. And I know a lot of folks that would be willing to do that. The only problem is they didn't know where to donate it at.
Right.
And I most certainly don't want it in my garage. So if we could set up maybe, once I get it nailed down, a spot they could probably put it.
Yeah.
But I would go through you, obviously, on that. That's your ball of wax down there. So, but anyway, if we could work on that, Hector, I think this could be a good template, and I think it could work. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. That's it. Any more questions?
Now, do we have any comment from the public on this?
This is the first I've seen where the Ferber Park place was going to be, and that's cool. The more the merrier, that's what I say. There's also a good spot west of there at the top of the trail, at the like below the water tank, that whole section where they cut down that big tree and stuff. That's really fertile. I don't know if like for an orchard or something, but like I am really devastated about our orchard at our local community garden because that was put in 2012 and 2013 with intentions of people now to be eating it, and I've never even tasted the fruit, and a lot of those trees I donated myself, so it's like I'll be 80 years old by the time our fruit trees in a new garden are, you know, edible, like mature. So that's a huge thing. You know, it makes people just want to like give up. But there's also another really good spot at the other, west of the other park. It's a little bit lower income, but Port Circle and Foothill, there's like a little bridge there, and you can access it from the cul-de-sac off of Port Circle, and then you can also access it from Foothill. That's really fertile. It's a beautiful area for a community garden, and I noticed that a few years back because I was running around back in there harvesting wild herbs. So St. John's wort. But anyways, we need them in downtown where there's no yards. Like all of downtown is zoned for live workspaces, and there's a lot of people that like the apartments and a lot of people who don't have it. Like over in Ferber, most of those houses over there have yards where they can grow their own food and stuff, but it is a good location because of the ADA access and the bus route and all that. But I probably won't be buying a plot, getting a plot over there just because like I want to be close to where I'm at, you know, like, but we need more. There should be more. I'm not opposed to any community gardens anywhere. I'm opposed to taking down community gardens that are already established and mature with mature fruit trees and, you know, having lies strewn out about the reasons why when it was clearly a snake move and greed.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
I suspect that Ferber Park site has good access to the Cloverdale shuttle. That would really make it perfect.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Oh, Richard St. Angelo. I live here in Cloverdale.
The shuttle does come right to the edge of where the location that we're looking at.
Perfect.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Kelly Spagnola. If this goes through, I would love to be a committee member and volunteer and help with whatever I can to make this happen. Just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one more comment too. Also, I've talked to some folks, myself included, that when it comes to maintenance and off-season, there's no problem. I probably get at least a dozen people down there that will keep it cleaned up and weeded and stuff because I don't think anybody wants to see it just get trashed half the year, you know. So I think it's a great location. Okay, any other comments from council?
Here from the city manager.
Thank you. Thank you. We'd like to return with maybe a layout and some numbers, and we'll reach out to all the folks who have said they were interested and report back on that as well.
Okay, perfect.
I think one of my suggestions is if there's folks who do want to be on the committee level, maybe having a gathering of those folks and they can work out amongst themselves, maybe who wants to kind of take different roles. I think one of the important roles is kind of having somebody who's going to be a nudger, who's make sure that, people are harvesting their vegetables and that doesn't turn into where, becomes a rodent problem, but somebody kind of needs to crack the whip sometimes. So I think it would be good to organize that committee and maybe get those folks together and they can figure out amongst themselves sort of some roles there.
Perfect. Also, Councilmember Marquez, that's great. The 3 people that you have might be good, Kevin, to have when it comes down to the layout. These people may have some experience or have specific things they want to do, might get them involved in the layout of that before you bring it back. Awesome. All righty.
So with that, just for some clarity on the direction from council, do you have a date that you'd like to see that? I know at the previous meeting, you mentioned you wanted to move as fast as possible. If we wanted to reach out to all of those groups and set meetings with them, things, that's not something I don't think we'd be able to accomplish that by April 8th. So we could potentially come back with a budget amendment just to move forward with the process and then come back later at a date uncertain with a management plan would be my suggestion, but just looking for clarity.
I think the only thing we're rapidly moving in gardening season here in Cloverdale, so seeds are going in the ground. So yeah, as quick as we can get it,
That's why maybe we can get the budget amendment April 8th on the consent calendar just to move forward with the general idea and then a management plan of sorts at the April 25th, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a suggestion, but looking for council direction.
I think if we can get the budget amendment by April 8th and also the layout, I think we could probably accomplish that and get a layout for that thing. And that can give other folks time that want to really get into this. There's also some donation opportunities out there. And so we're going to all be working to get this thing put together, but I think we can make it happen. So any other questions or comments from council?
Question. Yeah. Are you thinking raised beds or what?
Yeah, we were thinking raised beds. We don't know this. We were kind of messing around with like maybe 6 feet long by 4 feet. We're still I want to make a trip down to Windsor. I haven't been there in a while, so I want to.
I'd be happy to connect you with the ladies down there. Perfect. And they're more than happy to come up here and share their advice and lots of interesting, I got specifics. I talked to them for like a couple hours. So I'd be happy to share some of those specifics just kind of about, security. They mentioned they had a 3-foot fence and the kids were jumping the fence and they raised it to 5 feet and had no problems, So certain things about,
Thank you. Yeah, raised beds, individual beds. That's what we were looking at. That way everybody has their own. They kind of take ownership on that. Plant their own veggies, high enough, not too short, but high enough, tall enough so you don't have to kind of bend over too much.
Cool.
So you can accommodate different ages.
Awesome. So Mike, April 8th for budget amendment and layout. Cool. All righty, let's move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Galvan.
All right, let's move into F. All items under the consent calendar will be considered together by one action of the City Council unless any council member or member of the public requests that an item be removed and considered separately. Anybody in the public want to remove any items? Seeing none. All right, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
All right, move into new business. H1. Consider let me get back to this. Bear with me, this thing is not working properly here. There we go. All right, consider options for leave of absence request by Library Commissioner Green.
Mayor, Library Commissioner Brooke Green has requested a 6-month medical leave. We have reached out to the chair of the Library Commission, Sarah Lagos, and she said that she could represent Cloverdale during this absence. If you want to grant the absence, you don't need to do any motion. We can just, you don't have to do anything. If you want to take a different action, then let us know. There are some suggested actions in the council report.
Comments?
Yes, I would like to grant Commissioner Brooke Green's leave of absence and allow Commissioner Sarah Lagos to represent Cloverdale on the commission for the duration.
I second that. And I have met Sarah I met her at the round table at Schoen Ranch, and I think she's a delightful person, and she would be easy to work with. And I think I think Brooke could watch the meetings online and still have input.
Councilmember Lasky?
I agree. I think that allowing Commissioner Lagos to represent Cloverdale during that time is great, and wish Commissioner Green the best.
Likewise, right there.
That's it. Yep.
Any public comment? Seeing none?
Mayor, just for the record, are we wanting Commissioner Brooke Green at her request? She asked for a leave of absence. As you know, you got a correspondence recently that said she'd still be able to attend.
Yes.
Would you, as that as the preferential, and then letting Lagos be an alternate in a sense, or just,
I think that
you want them to be the primary? I'm just curious from a.
Yeah, just to clarify, she's not, Commissioner Lagos is already on the commission. She's not going to have a second vote. What she said is she could represent our interest and come give reports here.
Right.
So there's no need that one's an alternate. If Commissioner Green is able to attend remotely, she'd still be able, the appointed commissioner, and able to do that.
Yes. That's the direction we want to go there, Kevin.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I already did. That's odd. All right. H2, consider adoption of resolution approving animal shelter services and field services.
I'll try. Mayor, council members, city manager. So we received word that North Bay was going to be canceled by Petaluma. Their contract was going to be canceled. Petaluma owns the building that North Bay operates out of. So a number of cities were affected because they provide services, sheltering services and field services to a number of agencies in our county. So we had to act really quick. And we had really days notice. So we put out the RFP. RFP was March 3rd to March 16th. We had the Humane Society responded. We did contact the Sonoma County Animal Control. They responded to the city manager and said they were unable to, at the time, provide services. And then North Bay contacted us and said they would like to do field services. And so they gave a couple proposals, an annual proposal and a month-to-month proposal. I did visit with the Humane Society, both our campuses, one in Healdsburg, one in Santa Rosa. Beautiful campuses, by the way. Very well kept. Obviously, their reputation is impeccable. The people that are operating both facilities, Rebecca, and I met with the executive director, Mrs. King, who's behind me, and talked to Carrie as well. She's behind me as well. Very knowledgeable, very welcoming. Looked at the care of their animals, their processes. They're top notch. They did give us a proposal. The $28,000 that you see on the budget amendment is to get us through to the end of the year. Obviously, we're going into a budget negotiation, or not negotiations, for a budget for the next 2 years, which will come to you in May. And so that annual cost will be, with the Humane Society, will be $115,000 annually. And then North Bay was a month-to-month. They wanted we're not doing an annual. I recommended a month-to-month with them for $3,300 a month to get us through until we can find a suitable person to take over field services. And everybody in the county is going through this right now. City manager just sent me an email from the county saying now they are able to do services, and that annually, and I literally just got it like at 4:30 today, estimated is around $130,000 a year to do field services. There's not much on their proposal, so I mean, I got to go back and figure that out. Well, what are you going to offer for field services? So this is just, right now, this is just a stopgap measure to get us through and to keep providing the services that we have been providing. There are a lot of things, we just can't have, anybody pick up an animal and deliver them and take care of them. There's some training that's required by the state for animal control officers. Our officers do not have that. I know you're going to ask that. The officers do not have that training. I do think we should look at some long-term solutions. One of those would probably be hiring a CSO that does animal control and cross-train them with our other CSO. And, we had 7-day coverage. Maybe throw in, they can do some code enforcement in there as well. But, we can look at that at a tune of $130,000 a year. I mean, you can get, what I'm saying? It's, the process, this is really quick, okay? Because I knew they were canceling their contract with North Bay on the 31st of this month. So we had to continue services. And so again, what you're looking at is just a stopgap measure to get us through. I know, there are many concerns with North Bay. We took the sheltering piece off of it, so we're not doing any sheltering. I know other agencies have concerns with them. And I it is what it is. I can't speak to it anymore on that. But I know the Humane Society would like to come and talk to you if you guys have questions with them, and then come out and give a statement. But that's kind of where we're at.
All right. Any questions from council?
Just a question for Chief. With the idea of training the CSO, would that be anything that would be including today in an adoption? Or that's something just kind of thinking about the future?
We would have to figure that out. That's not for today.
Okay.
I'm just saying that's just some long-term solutions that we can look at and try and, save some money.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Morgenstern?
So Chief, are we looking to, you said just field services and no housing?
Correct.
So where's the gray area there? If we're going to just do field services, a stopgap for right now, that's what we're here to prove, right?
Correct, yeah.
And
then sheltering piece would be with the Humane Society.
I'm sorry?
The sheltering piece and care, because you have to provide veterinarian care and shelter for the animals that we get out, that are lost or we find or people bring to us.
Is that going to be an addition to the stopgap proposal?
So the Humane Society would be an annual contract. The North Bay would be a month-to-month contract. I've already told them we were canceling it because we are in a contract with them now. I already had a conversation with the owner and told them we were canceling their contract as it stands. They can't offer sheltering services, which is in our current contract. I haven't canceled it yet because we still need services.
Thank you for scrambling and making something happen when everyone is jockeying for position here.
Yeah. I know it's rough. It is rough. And, I'm thankful for the Humane Society for putting in for the RFP. I've looked at, Mendocino County, and I tried to do a few things, but yeah. I'm grateful for, for the services that they're offering to provide us. And I knew it was going to come at a cost, right? It just, it is what it is. You can't control those really. We can in the long term, I think. But yeah.
This has been up to the supervisor level. I know Sonoma County Supervisor, most of the towns are terminating with North Bay Animal Services. One of the supervisors mentioned that this is going to could be 6 months before they get a trying to find some type of umbrella agreement that every town can be happy with. There was a report that came out in Petaluma, a grand jury report came out, it's online, and it was the condition of the shelter and dogs and how they were being treated and all that, and that was the big concern. There was also some walkthroughs done by some of the council members, and people went down there and looked at it, and that led to this mess we're in right now. So thank you, Humane Society, for stepping up. I really appreciate it. And that fills the bill for now, but like it's kind of a temporary fix. We're going to look for long-term, but at least this gets us through. So thank you very much, and thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I'll invite Humane Society to come up here and talk.
Hello, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Cynthia King. I'm the Executive Director at the Humane Society. I've been there about 7 months, so not that long. Carrie's our expert at hand here. But I wanted to just say thank you for taking this up and grappling with it. It has been a wild month, year. It's been a lot. And so I really appreciate each city's really trying to engage with it authentically to not just find the next fix, but to find a solution. And I'm glad Mayor Wheeler mentioned the Joint Power Authority solution. And 6 months would be really fast. That would be amazing. But I'm excited because I was already had become aware of that and was hoping that the community would move towards that over the next couple of years. So the idea of everybody being on board doing it now is one of the things I wanted to come and say tonight is this is a short-term fix. There's an interim contract potentially next year, but the real solution is for everybody to come together and create an integrated system, which was part of that grand jury report for the whole county, was to create a better system of care, which will be more affordable, higher quality and more fair cost, I would say. It's the overall cost everybody's been paying is so low that it's just always going to be higher. But I think the JPA offers a better long-term solution. In terms, and the county the Board of Supervisors are going to consider this expansion on April 7th. Christina Rivera has really pushed this through, but they couldn't respond to the RFP. And so we do encourage going with them. That's the partnership we have. Carrie will talk a little bit about our experience of trying to have that partnership with North Bay and Healdsburg. And I did just want to let you know that if for whatever period of time you contract with North Bay, we are not able to partner in a way that we normally would with field services by providing a key to access to our building. So they may collect the animals in the middle of the night if there's an overnight call, but we'd have to have another solution for transferring them to our care. And so that's just part of my board, our staff feeling, having a trusted relationship with our partner. And that's just not what we've been able to have with North Bay. I think that is most of what I wanted to share because you're already moving in the same direction, which I really appreciate. And we're really excited to work with Cloverdale and have enjoyed getting to know Chief Barker. And it sounds like you guys already do a lot of great work with holding onto the dogs and reclaiming them before they even get the shelter system, which is the best model and the one that we're working towards building, shelter as a last resort and community engagement and prevention as our first resort. And so it's exciting to know that you're already doing that.
I'm going to actually repeat some of the public comments that I've given to the other city councils, but I think it's just important information to share regarding our experiences with North Bay. Yeah, and to have them on record. My name's Carrie Stewart, and I'm the Senior Director of Operations and Programs at the Humane Society of Sonoma County. I'm also a registered veterinary technician. I've worked in veterinary medicine and animal welfare for 15 years. Including 10 years with HSSC. I've also been a Sonoma County resident over 28 years. For more than 5 years, I managed HSSC's Healdsburg shelter under both a sheltering and animal control contract serving that community with NBAS as a subcontractor from 2019 to 2025. In Healdsburg, due to a number of concerns, we separated from North Bay Animal Services and contracted with Sonoma County Animal Services in 2025 as our field services provider. The results have been clear and measurable: faster response times, proactive patrols, increased dog licensing, increased rabies vaccinations, and transparent, timely reporting of records and call logs. SCAS has long served Sonoma County, and we're proud to partner with them to deliver coordinated, community-based animal welfare solutions. I know that you've all heard about the situation in Clear Lake, or I assume Most people have. And I just want to speak to what I personally witnessed up there. 3 days after the change in providers, I was on the ground leading the HSSC team and transferred 30 dogs into our care. Our intent that day was 7 or 8 dogs, but when we went up there, we couldn't leave that many behind. These included nursing mothers with newborn puppies, unvaccinated puppies who later developed parvovirus, 14 of them, severely emaciated adult dogs living in conditions unlike anything I've ever seen. Some of the animals could barely turn around in their kennels. The stress caused by starvation, inadequate housing, lack of medical care and prevention, and minimal human contact was profound. Animal control and sheltering services are meant to prevent suffering and not allow it to occur through neglect. Several of those animals are still with us today at HSSC. We have 10 of them still with us after 6 weeks, after receiving life-saving care and rehabilitation from our veterinarian shelter teams. Veterinary oversight is not optional in modern sheltering. It's foundational. Animal shelters are not just holding facilities. They are medical and public health operations. They manage infectious disease, rabies control, behavioral safety, spay-neuter compliance, and humane euthanasia decisions. These are medical determinations that require defined protocols and accountable leadership. Our Humane Society is recognized as a no-kill shelter with an average 98% live release rate, but the term no-kill is outdated and misleading. Any agency that consistently boasts about its status while warehousing dogs for years without behavioral intervention, enrichment, or medication is not compassionate or caring. Dogs, especially large dogs, deteriorate mentally with this kind of solitary confinement. Keeping them in that condition is not an accomplishment. It's a celebration of avoidable suffering to make the people rather than the animals feel better. HSSC is committed to sheltering that meets and exceeds the guidelines established by the Association of Shelter Veterinarians. We provide comprehensive medical care, behavior support, and a robust adoption program, humane education, community outreach, and shelter diversion services, including food and medical assistance to help families keep their pets. We also provide accurate, transparent, and timely reporting of records and statistics. We are widely regarded as a leader in progressive and humane sheltering practices in the state of California. I do recommend also during the separation that the City Council request records of all animals who have been cared for and currently in care by North Bay Animal Services in an electronic format. Thank you very much.
I'll just add one more thing about cost. We have been working really hard to create a stronger model around the cost of care, and talking to other counties, Marin County, San Diego County are leaders in this. They've had longstanding JPAs and multi-city contracts. And generally, when there's a partnership like this, the cost to the municipality is based on the required days in care. So like 5 days for a stray without a microchip, 10 days with a microchip in Sonoma County, which is higher than other counties. And then other required services and medical care that is set in ordinances and laws. And so that's what we've been trying to really refine and calculate. So even though the price tag is a lot higher, we've been trying to do it to that point. And eventually, once we get the sense of the number of animals and we move into a next fiscal year, we can do it by the number of days in care. So if they come in and they're only there for a few days, we have it down to the cost per day rather than the monthly cost. And so that's a more fair model that we're trying to work towards, more transparent. I can't say it would be cheaper because we don't know how many animals, right? The data is not clear, but once it is, we'll be able to report it and make sure it's very clear.
Okay.
I have a question. And I'm not familiar with JPAs, but if we entered into a JPA like with Santa Rosa or Petaluma, would that split cost be based on the city or the overall? Because I don't want to be paying as much as, right.
So my understanding is that the cost sharing model of a JPA is negotiated, and that's part of the time it takes, but the most common things that are used are square mileage and or population. So I did some calculations I think I shared with you, and you guys were actually paying a more proportionate amount with those two factors than some of the other cities were.
I wanted to thank both of you for choosing careers that help animals, because animals help people and we can't live without pets. And I also wanted to ask, is your shelter a no-kill shelter or not really?
Thank you for asking that. It's a very important conversation. So technically, with the definition of that term, we would be considered a no-kill shelter like North Bay. Carrie did mention there are ways to be considered that are not actually compassionate to animals by warehousing them and having them decline in care. So we don't use the term anymore. We've kind of moved away from that because it suggests that there's never a situation where an animal would need to be euthanized. And the field now uses what's called a live release rate, which is the percent of animals that leave our care alive, and that we're at 98% pretty consistently, which is very high. The amount of time, the median amount of time animals are in our care is about 12 days, and the average is about 21, so that's also a good standard, but we're always trying to improve it. It's different, of course, when you have open admission versus limited admission. That's why it's so important to start to integrate these systems, because if we get to pick what comes in, it's really the county number that matters the most. And they're pretty high too. They're at 88%, which is really high for municipalities. So bringing it all together can give us all of us a higher rate. But there are situations, medical, behavioral, and just overall risk and liability, where animals can't be adopted out in the community, or the capacity of our community can't take in the specific needs of an animal. So sometimes we trade with other shelters. We look at rescues. We make every possible effort to place an animal. But there are times where all shelters have to euthanize, and so the focus is limiting it as much as possible, but giving the animals, dignity and compassion in the life they have, whether it's in the shelter or out.
Questions? I got one question for you. Where are you guys located?
So we are in Healdsburg and Santa Rosa. Thank you for the kind words about it. We are on the 12. So if you're going from Santa Rosa to Sebastopol, we're in Sebasto-Rosa. The big metal dog that is on the 12 across from where Willie Bird used to be. I moved to Sonoma County about 25 years ago and learned that everybody gives directions that way. And so we have a very large property there, about 9 acres. And we actually have forget-me-not farms behind us, behind the shelter. And then in Healdsburg, we are just off of Dry Creek?
We are off Westside Road.
Westside Road.
Bacchus Lane.
Okay.
Yeah, right behind Bacchus Landing.
Okay.
Assuming everybody's been there.
All right.
So we're looking at our capacity both places. There's potential to expand, especially in Healdsburg, especially with these contracts to build out the building we have to be a little bit bigger and to make it more efficient to increase our capacity for care.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Any comments from the public? Seeing none. All right.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution by title only, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cloverdale approving a transitional animal control services model, including a month-to-month agreement with North Bay Animal Services for field services and a temporary assessment period with the Humane Society of Sonoma County for animal sheltering services.
Perfect. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
So, all righty. Let's move into H3. Consider a Measure DD road priority list and funding strategy.
Mayor, council members, so we put together a presentation at council's request. Last meeting, you were wanting to see a list of Measure DD streets and roads, and also provided direction that you wanted to see what it looks like for potential bonding out of the Measure DD revenue. So
What are you waiting on, Mike? We trying to get the presentation up? Oh.
okay, you can go to slide 2. So just a little bit of background. November 5th, 2024, you guys, we put on the ballot to have a 0.75% sales tax, and that passed. And then at our last meeting, well, a couple meetings ago, January 26th council meeting, I requested staff to create a list of priority streets and explore alternative funding options. So tonight you're going to see that list, and then you're going to see a breakdown of possible alternative funding options for multi-year bonding. So 100% of the revenue generated by Measure DD will stay in the Cloverdale community to fund local services and projects such as maintaining, repairing streets, roads, upgrading aging infrastructure, enhancing parks and open spaces, improving public safety, and other services or infrastructures maintained by the general fund revenue. Next slide. So this slide you see here was provided to us by ISOM Advisors. He's also the group that got us through the sales tax. And he laid out a 5, a 10, a 15, and a 20-year bonding scenario. And in that scenario, we looked at dedicating 75% of the Measure DD money, which is $900,000, towards that bond to pay for the debt financing on that. Mike, could you go to the next slide? We might have to jump back to this one here real quick. Go to slide 5. So this would be kind of the first council direction item when looking at bonding or even allocation of the Measure DD money. And ISOM and Associates did the projection for the bonding amounts. They used $900,000 out of the DD revenue, and they broke it up for potential ongoing pothole maintenance repair at $60,000, allocation of $120,000 yearly to parks and $120,000 yearly to police, which is public safety. And so we're going to be looking for council direction on this split up, whether you choose to go with future long-term bonding or not. We're still looking for direction on how you want to allocate these revenue.
Under this, sorry, Derek.
Go ahead.
Under this pie chart, so 80% would go to roads. So what we were thinking is if we do a bond measure and borrow money, we want to be able to continue to have revenue coming in to continue to do work over that initial set of roads that we will do if we end up bonding. That's why it says pothole repair. And again, these were just like what we came up with. If you want to, these could be changed around, but it gives us some guidance on the debt financing. As Derek said, 75% is about 900. And I think we're pretty settled on the 1.2. Susie, I mean, I think we're happy with that number. That could go up, which would obviously increase, but by doing it by percentage, it kind of increases each one of them as it goes up or down.
So, and as of right now, we're looking at $977,413 and change, with it looks like between May 25 and March 26. So we're going to be pretty close to that 1.2 in total for the 12-month deposits. So if you could go back to slide 4, Mike. So back to this, the bonding amount. In your packet, I've also included some scenario projections, and those were judged off of the multi-year bonding amounts and the dollar amounts that we would see. So with the 10-year, the 7.6 roughly $1 million, 15, 10.4, and 20, 12.2. I didn't do a 5-year scenario because it kind of gets pretty close to with what we can do annually plus current projects and bond or grant amounts. So And it just, the 5-year just didn't look like it was worthwhile for us. So we can move forward, Mike, to slide 6. So at our last budget meeting, we kind of decided on the allocation towards the totality of the streets budget for resurfacing, striping, and things like that. Maintenance totals about $300,000. So I carry that over in these projections. That would be the city's match annually going forward. So if you did choose to do a bond, if you did the 10-year bond at 7.2 or 7.6 million, that money would be spent the first year on a large amount of pavement projects, and then the subsequent years, I did it in a 5-year forecast, would just be the city's current amount that we're putting in for maintenance, striping, and upkeep. And so the same goes for the 15 and the 20 year. And you'll see that top line, that 1.2 million, that would be with what we calculated the bond amounts on with that yearly 900,000, including the city's current match. So that would be an ongoing 1.2.
So the general fund currently has 300,000 for road maintenance. So I think Derek's saying we could continue that pace at 300, or we could adjust that. But under your scenario, we're continuing to keep the 300,000 that were from the general fund to supplant or to add to DD. That's an option. We don't have to do that. We could just use the Measure DD funding at 900,000 a year, basically, and use 300,000 for other general fund purposes.
Okay, Mike, next slide. So along with all the multi-year forecasting, we'll get into that a little bit later. I did put together a list of some of the more sought-after streets that come up on the list of people put in work orders, high traffic areas, large publicly used areas, areas around schools and things. Kind of the more talked about, more requested to be refinished streets in this list you see here. And you'll see the street name and specific sections of those streets that are requested multiple times throughout the community and show up on multiple of our reports as needing to be refinished.
Just another important piece of information is we currently have collected 977,000 that could be deployed sooner. I'm talking to Mr. Isom. If we did move forward with a bond issuance, it would be 3 to 4 months before we would receive any money.
Okay, next slide. So I kind of split the slideshow up into multiple sections here. This just goes over the street section methodology that we've presented to the council in the last meeting of how we're going to choose the streets, targeting failure streets with a low PCI, preserving good fair streets with slurry sealing and then maximum overall network within available funding. Okay, next slide. So we just recapped what we just talked about, the $1.2 million current programming baseline that includes the 900,000 DD money and the 300,000 that we currently program into our streets fund for resurfacing. And we went through the 10, 15, and 20 bonding year scenarios. So the larger bond scenarios will result in more streets getting done, faster overall improvement, with a better pavement improvement plans. But the downfall of that is we have less money to continue ongoing maintenance with some of the streets. Next slide. Through the next couple of slides, you just got some high points of the multi-year bond advantages and disadvantages. So the larger term bonds have the greatest impact on the pavement impact report. But with a 20-year bond, you're looking at, DD money not being available in any other way or to put towards any other sources for quite a long time. So that's not the recommended route. Next slide. So you'll see 4 different scenarios. These are just created using the data in our PTAP report. That's where we get the length numbers, all the data for each street. So these are created just to kind of show council what can happen when you guys get into these multi-year bondings, the large impact up front, and then the amount of projects you can do on the tail end. It's significantly less. In the attachments, they'll have the full program in them. You can go through individually, but the current what I call the current, right? It would be the Measure DD, including our $300,000 to streets funds. We made sure to try to get at least once a year one of these larger sought-after street sections like Jefferson and First Street, that chunk of Franklin that everybody hates. Would try to get one of those in each year. Unfortunately, with our funding, one of them or a section of one of them is really all we can fit, and then turn it to slurry sealing to upkeep, because we definitely don't want to lose what we have. It gets really expensive really fast. Next slide. So it's the same scenario, just the highlighted streets, and then you see as we get into this is the 15-year bond scenario. Sorry, it's the 10-year bond scenario, not the 15. It says both up there. But this is the 10-year bond scenario. And you see the initial impact and that budgeted $300,000 is just kind of becomes a maintenance, kind of a slurry seal project. And as you project that out, you can skip all the way to slide 15, Mike. As you project that out, it's not recommended to unless council really wants to add more annual funds to the streets funds. Doing everything on the front end and then only having an available $300,000, for 16 years, possibly after that. So, that's really the end of the slide. I know that the attachments with all the streets, a little bit much on the data that was in your packet, but it's I like the council to realize, if they do choose multi-year bonding, that the amount of paper projects drops off very sharply as you project out the years, the amount of large impact. So to think about doing if you do a 20-year bond, to think about doing a large pavement project in 15 years, it's just not gonna happen unless we're going to devote a lot of general fund to it. A couple of street sections you don't see mentioned really in any of the projections or in your packet. It's going to be Cloverdale Boulevard from Railroad to Franklin. So that's a current ongoing project. We have Go Sonoma project, and we're kind of rebudgeting that. And that's we have funding for that, so we're hoping to get that repaved, striped, and a bunch of work done there. We have the SB1 project, which was Clark. It's going to be south to, I think, Alter. You're not going to see that show up in any of your projections because it should be paved and done with the SB1 money. And so that's an ongoing project. So those are two large street sections that you're not going to see in these projections. And that's why they're already slated for repaving projects. And we already have those allocated and most of them pretty much fully funded and fully planned out. So the projections you see, the prices are based off the PTAP. We do have a model that we run on all of these, and we're putting a 4% increase per year on all materials and labor cost. It's kind of a good round number for us to work with. It may be eventually higher depending on, asphalt, oil, things like that. May go up more, but that 4% is what you're going to see. So when you guys look at the actual PTAP report on the website, you're going to see numbers that are higher as the years go out than what is on the report because of that 4% inflation cost. So we're really looking for you guys to provide direction on the streets list, additions, subtractions. If you want to further flesh out any long-term bondings, and then whatever additional directions you guys want to see with this Measure DD money. I would say maybe you guys could start with the allocation discussion, streets list, or we can, alternate direction.
I'm sorry. I had a streets list I was looking for right there.
I got a question.
Oh, okay.
So Derek, thanks for that presentation. So initially, for the members of the public who may not be privy to the workings of the city, the initial DD money, would that be going to buy equipment? Or do we have equipment already? Or is this specifically for asphalt repair?
It's project money. So this is all bid out project done by contractors. Okay. The city's only allowed to do $74,000 worth of force account work. So these are projects much beyond us. We don't have the equipment to do it. We're set up to maintain the system. We're not going to rebuild it. So these are all formal bid, large paving projects, large scale projects.
Questions?
Thank you, Director Montaigne. I do have a question. So the funding that we have come in with the SB1 for the other streets that we repaired, that's something I do want to kind of consider that, especially looking at, a 15-year, 20-year, 10-year, to me even seems like a large stretch. We don't know what's going to come down the road as far as maybe some other funding sources. Have we taken any of that into account, that there could be some other funding sources that come down the pipe in, a few years, 5, 10 years that would alter?
Grant money for pavement specifically is hard to come by. Bike lanes, striping, sidewalk, that's a viable option. Currently, all the projects, SB1, that Clark Street's a multi-year project that with Cloverdale it being so small, our allocations for these programs are $174,000 to $150,000 a year. So it takes us a long time to save up that money to fully fund one of these projects. So yeah, we do kind of take that into account, but we have multiple projects going on that are grant funded, Go Sonoma funded, the rest of Measure M, SB1, and then our match monies. So I didn't take that account into these project lists because we do have kind of multi-year projects going on that are slated for a lot of that.
Okay. And looking at the proposed 5-year plan with the DD money, can you maybe elaborate on maybe the last 5 years, like what fraction that we've done compared to the proposed next 5 years?
Well, the last 5 years we've done 4th Street got reconstruct, and then we've just been doing maintenance, striping, crack sealing, things like that. So no major jobs. We have the Clark Avenue, we've been saving for multiple years to get that done. Okay. And we're hoping to in 27 start construction on that.
there would be a large improvement just with the DD funding, that if we were to not get into a bond, just with the extra DD money, there would be a large improvement in the next 5 years without taking out a
But
bond.
yeah, it would triple the budget.
Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for the presentation, and let's not forget about triplet. I looked through everything and I couldn't find triplet in there anywhere. And like I said, the last time we discussed this issue, triplet's really important when 3rd Street gets closed down due to flooding. I mean, people on walkers need to get out of Kings Valley Senior Apartments and be able to walk.
Yeah, we can definitely include that in the list per direction, yeah.
Councilmember Lasky? Go ahead.
Derek, thank you. I appreciate this. Obviously, I have a lot of ideas because I've been pushing for this for a long time. I actually pushed DD to happen here, and I'm excited for this moment because, like you said, we've been able to seal some cracks, do some cold patch stuff. You know, we recently have got to do some hot patch with a new machine that we bought last year. So this is big for Cloverdale. We're talking about streets that haven't been paved in 70 years are finally going to get it. Streets that are dirt right now, streets that you couldn't take a horse and buggy down. And so I think tonight we have a couple different things that we need to do. Is we need to first choose a direction, I think, for you with the ideas through ISOM to help with that. So the ISOM can come back with some real figures and things going on and give direction. And I think that that's a good idea to be bonding out on this, and because if you look at the cost of labor and materials, that is a lot more expensive than the bond itself. And the percentages that we have now, when we talked about this last year, the percentages were significantly higher than they are right now. And that's why we didn't even take that into account last year, because it would not have been cost effective. But if we start looking at things like inflation, labor costs, and the economy of scale when we do these big projects like this, as a contractor, I know we're going to save a lot of money. You're going to be saving more money from the contractors that get the RFPs here than we will even from the inflation and everything else that we'll be paying. It's significant to do big projects like this, so thank you for laying this out. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
Just maybe Derek already said this, but the breakdown percentage is something we'd like to walk out of here knowing, because that dictates what ISOM can. The debt payment
Slide
of
5.
900,000 a year is what we came in with. So this is how it would break down. So really, it's 80% for roads. We held back the 5, but we did instruct the consultant that we would have 900,000 for debt service, and that's 75%. So that will change the numbers on the other table. So if it'd be nice to know if that's the settled percentage breakdown.
All right, so I'll start by saying a little bit more of this, and then I'll dig into that portion.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. No, it's great. I appreciate you for reminding us. The Go Sonoma thing, that's huge. I think that we can front load that by getting some projects done and reimburse ourselves for the striping plan maybe this year, since we have the $977,000 already. And I think that we should, we have a striping plan for different things we need to do. I think that we should get a contractor in here and start banging some stuff out.
Yeah, the striping plan that we agreed per subcommittee, we had W-Trans, I knew you guys were going to ask. Striping plan, so we did have W-Trans do a full striping plan for multiple streets. The change in the Citrus Fair intersection, new street light, traffic calming striping, that's going to be employed in that Go Sonoma project, and that we've already identified full funding for that.
Correct. What would be nice is to get that started, because that's something that the past city manager and I started 5 years ago.
Yep.
And I'm excited that it's finally coming to fruition and that you guys made the grants happen with that. But I think that we should really work on that, since Go Sonoma is like 27, 28, probably when that one would get done, I would imagine, right? Or is it sooner with that one?
We would hope 27.
Okay. So maybe we could, with the 977,000, we could possibly get that done this year and then reimburse when the Go Sonoma money comes through. And then I think that we should also work on doing some stuff for the public so they can see our DD money that they've been putting into. And when I say our, I mean our community. That I think we need to get down on First Street and we need to do a slurry seal or whatever's necessary there where every single person uses it in that area. I think that we need to focus on things like lighting in our parks a little bit more and things that our community uses. Our Second Street Park has no lights and we're asking for trouble. I think we need to focus on that a little bit with part of this 977,000 through our pie chart of your percentages. And then I also, after we do this and we settle on the pie chart, I think we need to rank the top 5 streets so you can start moving forward on an RFP. We need to make some decisions so that our community gets their money back.
Yeah, if you see on the first, the kind of the standalone, that 1.2 million, that can be adjusted. But First Street, the reconstruction of First Street and multiple slurry seals is on that. And then the next following year, we have the rest of reconstructs First Street and then Treadway. And all these reconstructions include striping too.
That's it. Yeah, I agree on this right now. And what I've said before is, I know we've got the PTAP report and we use that as our guide and that's our percentages right there. I get it. But I mean, I've been here 8 years and I know there's people that have lived here a lot longer than me that, they hear that, hey, this road's going to get done sometime. I want to mitigate that sometime. And like the vice mayor's saying, and like folks are saying that I've heard around town, it's like, hey, when are we going to see some progress? When is this DD money going to come into effect? And I would love to get in there and do some of the ones that may not be higher priority on the PTAP report, but do some of them that are very needed. And there's some in town, and that comes down to the prioritization of this list right here. And you know which ones they are, Derek. And
yeah, I think the recommended road lists for me, for the phone calls I get in my office, really represent a large amount of the community's outreach for streets they want repaved.
Yeah, I've received numerous emails and with pictures and all that, and you can't deny it. You can barely drive across the things right now. So I'd like to see definitely see that get prioritized and move forward with something. Hopefully using our DD money, bonding out, getting the numbers from ISOM. However, we've got to do it and make some progress. It's time of year to see what we've got going on here. So.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I'd like to, I don't know if you want to break this into portions, one piece at a time.
Yep.
For direction on the pie chart, I think that's a great layout. We've talked about this for a long time. I think that the pie chart's a great direction, the way they have it set. But, it's your meeting. And
no, I'd like to see comments on that. Anybody have comments?
Before, Mayor, you get direction from the council if you want to go to public comment, just so they're commenting before.
You want?
If you go to public comment before the council gives any direction.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
Thank you, council members. Daniel Frankston, Cloverdale. I apologize for my attire, but it's opening day and I had to give up a Yankees game to be here. So first of all, I'd like to commend Derek and the Public Works Director with regards to the choices that were made here. Part of my job is to drive around town. I see all the roads that horse and buggies can't get through. And with a couple of limited exceptions, I really think it did a really good job at doing that, prioritizing both the roads that are dumps and also roads that are in perhaps a slightly better shape, but are still heavily trafficked. So I really think he did a good job with that. I got to say, I'm a little bit disappointed in the revenues. 1.6 was the projected. In fact, a couple of months ago, I saw 1.6 at a city council, and now it's down to 1.2. That's a decrease of 25%, somewhat significant. I don't know what the reasoning is for that. I know we've only been through 3/4 of payments, and maybe that'll adjust over time, but that's disappointing that it's only 3/4 of that. Manager Kelly, when he was here, said that 60% of the revenues would come from out-of-town purchases. And I don't know if Susie has any information with regards to where that money comes from out of town. 60% out of town seem astronomical to me. You buy new cars in Santa Rosa, but you don't buy them very often. So I think it's important that we kind of step back and take a big picture of how we got here. This is about 2 years ago. We had $1 million a year structural deficit. Manager Kelly was indicating that we've got about $28 million worth of roads that need to be repaired. Chief Parker needs a new police station that's going to be like $15, $20 million, and there's just no money in the budget. So there was a discussion. Should we raise sales tax? Should we have a bond? Should we have a mixture of the two? Ultimately, council elected to go with a 3/4 of a cent sales tax, and that's been in effect for almost a year. And obviously, we've got some money now and it's figuring out what to do with it. But the reason that the roads got in such disrepair is because for years, make that decades, roads didn't get fixed. The maintenance was just deferred. I realized that Councilmember Lasky and Marquis were not here when this came down, but Gus Walter sat here and he was very adamant about where the money should go and that the money should be spent in 3 places, 2/3 of it on the streets, 1/6 of it for parks, and 1/6 of it for pedestrian road safety and things like that. And if you look at that pie chart, it's pretty close to those figures. I'm not sure how the police funding got switched out for the pedestrian safety, but 3/4 of the money for the roads, I think, is a good amount. A little bit concerned about how there was a change over the public safety aspect of it seemed to have dropped out, and I would urge that 10% be restored. But we need to look at how to best do this. The graphs up there talk about 5-year increments. I think it was slide 13 showed how much, or 15 showed how much could be done with a 20-year bond in 5 years. And it's really impressive when you compare it to the year-to-year spending. But what that graph doesn't show is that after year 1, you're going to be down to the general funds, and you're going to go 19 years without having a chunk of money to be able to put out. Bonding, half the money goes to the bond. Yes, there'll be savings because you're going to front load the expenditures. There's no doubt about that. But half of the money goes to the bond. It's $24 million in 20 years if you do the yearly expenditures, and you get $12.4 million if you do a 20-year. So I'd urge not to bond out, and certainly not to bond out to that extent. Thank you.
Rob Kozlowski, a Cloverdale resident. I guess in honor of Government Financial Professionals Week, the promotion of fiscal responsibility is in vogue. And thanks to the good work of Susie and others, and Kevin now, I revisited the city's 2022 equipment lease purchase agreement savings analysis dated September 29th, 2022. And if you look at that, the city of Cloverdale has already spent close to $2 million in debt service in the first 3 years of its 15-year loan for water sewer system. Now, no report on the actual savings has been forthcoming that would highlight some measure of offset for this almost $2 million drain from the city coffers, including its general fund that historically funds roadworks. Now, I was just informed that after 3 years, an actual savings report is being worked on, and I would love to see that savings. So I think we should learn from that experience, depending what it is in the near term here, before we enter into another debt financing scheme or bond scheme for roadworks. I think in this case, the cash flow, in this case, the water case, the water sewer case, the cash flow was generated by ratepayers of those double-digit rate increases for 5 years on their water and sewer bills. And that's paying for the millions in dollars of interest to date. So now in the case of roadworks, I'm an advocate of pay-as-you-go or pay-as-you-play should be used. Avoid debt. Use, obviously, the DD money, but look for more SB1 and Measure M project money to augment the DD money. And it was Todd, yourself, that convinced me to vote, and a lot of my friends vote for the 3/4 sales tax. So I'd love to see that money, of course, being used primarily on roads. And I think using cash flow from sales tax revenues, which feeds the general fund for roadworks projects, is going to happen.
The resulting debt service from the bonds requires millions more in interest payments, money that could be used for even more roadworks projects, akin to what the gentleman just before me said. So I would argue, please, no more adding of debt to the backs of the residents of Cloverdales. This entire push for taking on debt raises the question, who is looking after our long-term financial interests of the city and its residents? And I would hope that the city council is. So again, a case in point, please, less debt, more let's pay as you play. And Todd, you mentioned front-end loading, and I know that $3 million of $7 million of the lease purchase agreement was used for a solar system. And I'm not sure if that's even paying anything back yet. Anyways, food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to give you, Rob, just a quick on this. The numbers for total debt service is 8.9 on a 10-year. On a 7.6, that means you're getting whether it be $1.7 million towards the bond, basically, of not project money on a 10-year. Now, if you do the amount it would cost you over that 10 years that you would save from labor and everything else, and then you take off, say, a normal contractor with the size of jobs or the economy of scale, you look at 20% off of that, you're winning by doing it. I'm not saying that the project you're talking about is wrong, because I might even agree with you on a lot of what you're talking about and mentioning, and that there's some work to be done. And I think that having a different staff and people looking at things and lower percentages are what make this feasible. Last year, it was not in my eyes. So I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying.
Mike, can you go to slide 4 in the presentation? Because I think the wording in one of the charts is maybe creating some confusion about how much, and the vice mayor described it accurately, but I think just the wording may cause some confusion. The cost of the bond is the difference between the total debt service and the net project proceeds. So the difference between that last line in the first line is essentially the interest that would be paid. Because we generate the full amount of the bond up front to use on these street projects, and then we repay it $900,000 a year for 5 years. So the difference for the 5-year, for example, so that, as the vice mayor said, for the 5-year, that'd be whatever, I don't know, $500,000, $450,000, essentially in interest we'd be paying on that 5-year bond.
Well, and just a basic math, if it's a 4%, like Derek was saying, that's $40,000 on every $1 million for the first year. And then it's $44,000 on top of that for the second year. So now you're $84,000 on your second year. And then your third year, you're $132,000 approximately more for the third year. And so it compounds on what you're paying on that 4% raise for inflation, and you haven't even taken into consideration the discount you get for engineering, mobilization, demobilization, and your material cost up front. Material costs, let's just talk labor for me as a contractor. 10 years ago, my top guy was getting $65 an hour. Right now, we're into the $150 to $200 range, depending on what trade they have. So that shows you the difference over 10 years.
My only point is I'd like to see us learn from the
100%.
lease purchase agreement.
Kevin, did you have something?
I just want to mention that we are trying to get kind of a ballpark figure, which we'd like to bring back to you. And, we could get a ballpark for all of the recommended roads and then kind of work backwards to say if you wanted to do all of those, what scenario are we looking at here? Or we could prioritize the roads and maybe not do all of them, but I do think it is important to keep some of the money ongoing beyond the initial project. And so that's why I did put the small part of the pie chart as it says pothole, but that in addition to some general fund can continue to keep us moving forward.
Well, so I'd like to take and we do need to break this down. We need to look at the pie chart first and figure out what we're going to do with that. What are our percentages? Yeah. Right there. And make a council decision on this prior to moving on to the recommended roads or a roads list. So if everybody's in agreement on that.
Okay, so just to clarify, we're going to do pie chart
Yes.
first and then kind of road priority.
Yes.
Okay, and then at what point will we talk about our funding options?
We can move into bonding after that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll do that in 3 stages.
Yeah, break it down in stages here so everybody's clear on this.
Yeah, looking at the pie chart,
Yes, where are we at? Yes. Public comment, go ahead.
Please. Yeah, my name is Richard St. Angelo. I live at 218 Live Oak Drive. I've been there since 1973, and I've owned it since, I guess, 1975. The existing driveway or road is about 12 to 16 feet wide, and it was alligator cracked when I moved there in 73. It has since deteriorated now to the point of being, I guess, about 1/2 or 2/3 alligator cracking, different elevations, different compositions, and the rest of it's gravel. Superintendent Galvan repaired the intersection of Live Oak Drive and Lake Street very well, and he put down about 4 yards of gravel. But still, it's very, very hazardous. I need to walk that 200 feet to my mailbox every day, and also to get any access to the rest of Cloverdale, which is 1/2 mile away. I need to walk down that driveway, get on Ashley Road, and then down First Street, so that the driveway, my driveway, Live Oak Drive, which is a city street, is hazardous, especially now with a reconstructed knee. I've got 8 months to go on that. So I was able to talk to the Infrastructure Committee for several years regarding this problem, and that's when Superintendent Galvan finally addressed the most pressing problem, which was the divot in the ditch between Live Oak Drive and Lake Street. It also addressed the partial decomposition of Live Oak Drive with load of gravel. Now, it has gone through one wet winter, and it does require some more maintenance, but I'm also wondering why it was not included on Director Montaigne's list, because Live Oak Drive has not been improved, and it's a city street. I've been paying taxes for over 50 years, and now it's hazardous to my health. I'd like to have that included. I would normally go to the Infrastructure Committee with these remarks, but they haven't met for several months. So that's why I'm bringing it to your attention. And I'd also like to have Live Oak Drive be included on the repair list, if not the reconstruction list.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right. So let's work on the pie chart here and come up with our percentages. Any comments on this?
So the pie chart here with the categories that we're looking at, I see 3. With the way that DD was marketed, I see 5 categories, which would be maintaining and repairing streets. We're looking at, that has the number 75%. Upgrading aging infrastructure, I don't see that on the pie chart. Enhancing parks and open spaces, that's listed at 10% on the pie chart. Improving public safety is listed at 10%. And the other item I do not see there is any other services or infrastructure maintained by the general fund. So I think kind of looking at this big picture, I think roads certainly are something that everyone can agree on, and conversations with our police chief and park superintendent, I think you guys are kind of willing to make that sacrifice. I certainly think about the police station and how that's actually going to happen, and looking at different options this year, I don't really see how it's going to happen. I think that it's something that we're going to have to start putting some money away and saving money to maybe get a grant matching opportunity or something in the future. But if we're not putting money away from that, I see that kind of as something that DD money should go for. But I think roads, certainly 2/3, if I don't know how much money we're going to put away for a police station with 2/3 unless we cut roads back to half. But definitely want to think about that and get everyone else's opinion on it.
Councilmember Morgenstern.
I think we should try to include all the things that were just mentioned in the pie chart so that we add in the other two things.
Councilmember Lasky.
Well, I think the pie chart is a good representation of a start for this project. Obviously, like Vice Mayor Land says, that obviously every day we wait, the cost is going to go up. That's just historically where we're at. So what we represent here, I know the money is based, it's kind of a like it says, it's a budget. We don't know if it's going to, go up or go down based on Daniel Frankston's comment where it's down $400,000. So I think this is a good start.
I like it. As the person that started this for roads and infrastructure, this is exactly what we were looking for. And infrastructure is included in reconstruction. That's part of the job with that. Public safety and parks were part of it, but they knew they were a small part. And it was added in there to make sure that we could use DD funds for other things that affect our community the most. And that's what this was all about. So 75 and 5 are good for, in my opinion, for what we wanted and what the original plan was. We did have a council member back then that had set different percentages in their head and spoke about them at the meetings, but they weren't something that the council supported at the time.
Yep. Yeah, after the conversations we've had, listening to people in town, the roads are my priority. Obviously, it's broken down. It's got police. I take potholes as the maintenance part right here to maintain what we're going to do. And parks, this is all why DD went down. And I think we've talked about this enough. I like this 75% on this. We really need, the way I see it is we really need to start making some progress on what Cloverdale hasn't seen any roads being done in a long time. That's where I'm at on this. 75% of it, we need to start doing roads. The priority needs to be roads, working towards this next priority list and taking into consideration what the citizens are saying, also going by the PTAP report, but taking into consideration what these citizens are seeing, because that's their money they're paying right there. And I want to see them have some satisfaction out of paying taxes and see something happen with these roads. I lived here 8 years. I haven't seen a big road pit project go on in a long time, if at all. So that's where I'm at on this. I'm happy with this chart. I'd like to keep it at 75%. And anybody else has any suggestions?
If we could just perhaps, based on the chart, Mike, if you could put it back up, if we can get, just so it's clear for the record, a thumbs up if you support this allocation or a thumbs down if you do not.
Got it. Everybody in support? No? Okay. There you go. Yep. Okay, let's move into the road. Recommended roads, let's make a priority list out of this roads that we have here. Any comments, Councilmember Marquez, your priorities?
Priority on the roads, I like the list here. That's kind of, some of these items are things that we certainly might circle around on, depending on what funding strategy we have. So I think I'd like to revisit this.
Councilmember Morgenstern.
I like the list, but I think, I mentioned triplet the other time, and somehow I really don't know why it's not listed anywhere, and I think it's an important thing to consider adding to a list, seeing how there's a lot of seniors that need to walk down that street with their walkers.
Okay.
So, yeah, recommended roads, I forget your name, sir, but your assertion on your public street for over 50 years, to me, that's unacceptable. That obviously all these roads are unacceptable, and I appreciate you coming out to take your time to point that out to council and your concerns. So yeah, all these roads are definitely important, and I would just want to make sure that we're not putting, a Band-Aid on a problem that we start from basically ground up is the terminology, and we do it right the first time. Throughout my career in construction, I've seen a lot of projects that come in, tear up the roads, put their pipes in, and then do basically a Band-Aid. So when you're driving down the street, your car's bumping and whatnot. Even on the big pave on 101 going south from Cloverdale, they paved the whole road and it was all done. Then the contractor came in and dug it all up and put the culverts in across 101. And if you were paying attention, it was like a speed bump every half mile or so. So I would just make sure that when we do the roads, we do it right the first time and it's not a Band-Aid.
Well, what I want to do here is come up with a priority. Each council member come through and name what we think off this list right here. Also adding in, we've heard Triplet a lot. We've also heard Live Oak Drive. And I agree with Councilmember Marquez on that. If you've been here since the 70s and nothing's been done, I think maybe we ought to add that to this list right in here. But we need to come through with the priority that we can agree on here for, if we do get the funding for this, we can take off and hit the ground running on these. So that's what I'd like to do.
I like the top 5 there.
Okay. Go ahead.
Awesome. Before we get into the 5 streets, I think we need to work on the 977 and not include it in the plan for the bonding. The 977,000 that we currently have, I think we need to get some projects done with that now. And I think in those projects, we should include Franklin Street, 1st to 2nd, and we should include Slurry or whatever it takes to fix 1st Street from the Boulevard to Main, and our striping plan. I think we should do those 3 right out the gate because we can get those done cheaper that way and then reimburse through Go-Sonoma for the striping. For the plan for the streets, I think that number 1, 2, and 3 are all the Tarman, Hillview, and Rosewood. Those 3 haven't been done since the early 60s and late 50s on some of those. Not even a fix. They are down to dirt. And those are major thoroughfares for Tarman Track. And then the next one in line would be Jefferson Street. We know from 4th to School. But my hesitation on that one is the speed of the cars that you will get if we do not create some type of traffic calming at the same time. So I personally like the horrible street on Jefferson because the kids already drive 50. I would hate to see them driving 70 to 80.
Okay. I agree on that, but I got my number 1 as the Jefferson. Jefferson Street there. I know they drive, that's the speed racetrack in town, traffic calming. My suggestion would be look at some type of speed humps in there, not the speed bumps like on 8 down at, that just got put in down in the parking lot down at 8th. Those are pretty aggressive, but some of the more gradual ones that will slow these kids down, I think that would work. And Jefferson has been, since I've lived in Cloverdale, Jefferson has been a topic. People are saying, why is Jefferson not getting done? What are you going to do with Jefferson? It's been nonstop. So that's number 1 on my priority list. Number 2 would be Hillview. I think Hillview Drive, I've received pictures of it. It's not even, like Richard said, it's not even alligators. It's just coming apart. It's turning into just dust, and that needs to be done. And then prioritize down in the Tarman track also. There's a lot of folks going there, and there's been just minimal streets being fixed down there. I think those folks down there deserve it. We need to focus in on that and hear them. They're barking the loudest, and I think that would behoove us to do some of those down there and then start working other than that. So that's my top 3: Jefferson with traffic calming, Hillview, and then you could take your choice down there: Tarman, Mayor Way, Rosewood. These are all I would go with probably. Mayor Way, because our buses come through and destroyed that one, or Rosewood. Take your choice. Those 2 would be, either one of those would be good for me. So there's my top 3 on that. And start using some of this money we have and start making some moves. The problem is, mobilization's huge. You come in for mobilization, and if you do this in spurts, then you mobilize every time. That starts eating away at your budget. We need to get somebody in here that can say, hey, give me a deal on this. We're going to give you a bid for these, and we're going to come in and do them and make something happen in Cloverdale with the existing money have while working on a bond. bond money is not going to be there right away, but we do have the 977 right now that we could start working with.
Through the mayor, we also have some developer fees and water impact fees and things along those lines that could help with a lot of our laterals and things along with that go with
Price is
that.
going up every day.
So with this streets list, like I said, these are the most sought after streets in town. So the streets on these lists are your high magnitude streets. Just kind of some really quick math. That first one, Jefferson, that's like $2.6 million for that section. And that's our measurements and engineer's estimate from 2025. So we probably see a little more than that when we go to do the project. I think Champlain was quite a bit of money. All of these are in the multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars because they're all reconstruct projects. So just council, keep that in mind. Champlain was 665,000.
What's the total cost, Eric, of that list right there?
Of that list, I didn't do a total cost on the list. My apologies. The total, it would be more in the kind of that list, $13 to $15 million range.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
13 to 15.
And Derek, with that, is that replacing all the laterals and everything else that you're talking about included in this? What is just grind and repave?
A lot of them are reconstruct. So it's grind on subsurface amenities, fabric, and asphalt.
Because 2 years ago, we had Tarman quoted at $113,000, the section between Hillview and Brookside.
We had...
Just if you have that one, I'd love to see the comparison.
Yeah, we have Tarman Drive reconstruct from Hillview. Oh, well, what's Hillview?
You probably had it from Hillview to the end of the cul-de-sac, I think is how you
have it. Tarman.
Oh, you did Brookside to Dead End.
Yeah. So on the
north side dead end. Is that what we're talking about?
We have 476,000 for Tarman for pretty much the dead end that goes into Brookside to the dead end by the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
And 698 for the other section. So the reconstructs get very expensive very fast. Yeah. Because of especially in the Tarman neighborhood, all the infrastructure underneath, we have to be very careful. A lot of those neighborhoods, we are planning on redoing all the piping, but it's not in these numbers. This is asphalt, mobilization.
So that's something else to think about is we might do one road with 10 years worth of money if we're not careful. We really have to be cognizant of that, how we are going to affect the entire community with this amount of money.
Yeah, the problem being with this is these are all the oldest roads in town that need the most work with the oldest infrastructure. So that's
with these large projects like Clark, we do have cost sharing with the water, sewer, things like that are paying for their enterprise infrastructure to go in because we're upsizing, putting new, getting rid of old infrastructure. So those cost shares we're hoping to have covered by the enterprises. So that's why we're giving you these costs for just the streets that are going to be funded by DD, just the street materials, labor, all that.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion. Maybe we take the 977 and we do have some impact fees that we could use on main streets that, generally town uses. Come back with the vice mayor's list with some numbers to that and numbers to this.
That's what we need.
But I think the direction is we want to get something going as soon as possible, and we have some money to do that. So maybe we can, did you write down the vice mayor's First Street? And
yeah,
we'll come back with a cost for that and a cost for all of these. That's going to help you better decide. We're going to try to engage a local contractor just to get a ballpark. Because I think, Derek, are you using the PTAP report?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then those numbers seem to be regionally pretty close. Hillsburg did a project based off of it. It was pretty right on. When we go out to bid for the grind and repave with fabric of the boulevard section between Railroad and Franklin. We're going to, with the Go Sonoma project, we'll then use that data to redo the numbers just for the corresponding grind and overlays projects that are going to be on this list. So we'll have a good updated number then.
So we're going to need some concrete updated numbers here before we.
We're kind of middle of the road for regionally what, per square foot, what we're looking at. We did up the slurry cost, go more of on in these projections on the high end, because we're starting to see a really steep incline in that oil cost for the slurry jobs.
So with that, Kevin, can you have one of our local construction companies give us some roundabout numbers and see if we're in the ballpark with PTAPs, we know where we're at. Even if it's just a few roads, we can have an idea. That way we know that we're on target, we're 50% off target, whatever the heck it is, and bring it back quickly so we can get this RFP going.
Yeah, we can send out an RFP to our informal bidders list that we hold. We have a California Cost Accounting Code informals bidder list that we keep, so we can send it out to them and ask them if they'll give us a round quote on a set square footage of asphalt.
So we're going to come back with the immediate ones using the 977 plus some of the impact fees. And then we're going to also try to put a dollar amount to the remaining ones, adding Mr. St. Angelo's Street.
Well, I would like to throw, and like Councilmember Morgenstern said, I've been down Triplet a million times. So I'd like to see maybe add Triplet in there too. That is a safety thing. I know it's a small road. It's not highly traveled, but it does need to be looked at. It's one of the older roads in town, and if it's just trashed, we need to look at that. So throw those in there and come back and see what we can do to get rolling with this, with our 977 right now, and at least make some progress.
Triplet's pretty narrow too, so it might be more.
Yeah, so First Street, you want numbers for that? That's going to be number one, right? Yep. That section of First Street, Main to the Boulevard. Give me a 2 and a 3, and we'll come back with numbers for those.
Well, 2, I had Hillview in there, and then also it was a toss-up between Rosewood and Mayor Way. That's starting to pick away at down in the Tarman down there. So
okay,
throw Rosewood in there.
The Tarman, Mayor Way, Rosewood, we get the best bang for a buck to do all three of them, but kind of the price on one of them is kind of.
Franklin from first to second.
The First Street section and then that little section of Franklin probably should be done simultaneously.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
I'm in support of the council's priorities. I do like that, looking at the area on Foothill, but I'm going to lean into the Tarman area.
Perfect.
With the council.
Okay. No comments.
I think it's got good direction.
Yep.
Okay.
And now
Thank you.
let's move into we're moving into our bond now. We want to.
And so that was the direction on the immediate work that can be done with the money that we do have. So jumping into the bond proposals here, I think that just want to mention the fact that, Measure DD did pass. It did not pass with 2/3 of the vote. So some people didn't vote for it at all. And I would hate to see getting into debt, going down the road. I think even 10 years is quite a lot. I think I would consider 5 years as a economy of scale, but if the 5-year bond kind of ties in with the year by year, then I would lean into the year by year. If there really is an argument for a bond, I would maybe consider, what is the argument for the 10-year? I think certainly 15 and 20 years get out just to a ridiculous amount that we don't know what's going to happen. There could be major changes that, we're going to get stuck, that all this money is going to be tied up
So, I certainly think that inflation increases, that tax revenue will also increase, and the things that we don't spend the money on will also increase. So, if you spend money on one thing, you don't spend it on the other, everything's going to increase. So, I think that argument really doesn't hold much weight.
I would like us to get in the less amount of debt as possible, because debt can really just ruin things.
And Counselor, you're not making any decision on the debt tonight. I think once the road list comes back with the numbers, then the council can make a decision, because you'll see.
I wasn't talking about a decision, that's just my preference.
I just wanted to clarify, so.
Councilmember Lasky. Okay. You got any comment?
No, we're cart before the horse here. I can't wait to see what they come back with. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, any other comments?
Mayor, thanks for everything on that. Good discussion, and thank you for everyone participating in that.
Yeah.
Thank you for your hard work from all of our city staff.
And I want to thank everybody too, council included. I think everybody's in agreement that yes, we do need to get some stuff done around Cloverdale. Like I said, I'm going to always go back to, I haven't lived here my whole life, but it's my 8 years I've lived here. And we've been talking about this needs to get done. Another year goes by, another year goes by. So we've got to make a bold move here. And I think we have some great direction on it with the existing money now. Once, Derek, we get those monetary values back and see actually what we can accomplish if we need to go the bond route. But thank you very much to council for jumping in and giving that good direction on that. Thank you.
I do want to add that, with the immediate money, I'm in support of the pie graph as it stands. It's like, I think that idea would change depending on what the funding route would be. So certainly immediate need on the streets.
Good. All right. Okay, let's move into. Yeah. Okay, let's move into item I, legislative reports, letters of support and opposition. I'm seeing none. Council member reports. Councilmember Marquez.
Thank you, Mayor. March 13th, attended the Cal City's Redwood Empire Division members meeting in Ukiah. We received updates from Assembly Member Rogers and Senator McGuire. Did attend with Councilmember Morgenstern. Also, Prop 4 climate bond was discussed on what the yearly payments would be, and so a lot of things to look into and try to get that money back to Cloverdale. That was also a great opportunity to meet the Clear Lake City Manager, Alan Flora. They did start a Latino Advisory Committee in December of 2025, and would really look at that, would be a benefit to have here in Cloverdale, and hope that we can get the support from the rest of the council if members did decide to, community members did decide to get together and support something like that. March 19th, attended Zero Waste Sonoma. We discussed the organic material processing and the 26 and 27 budget. And
On March 13th, as you already stated, I attended the Cal City's Redwood Empire Division members and partners meeting. It was great to hear from Assemblyman Chris Rogers and also Mike McGuire. And tomorrow I am attending an Ag and Open Space meeting in Santa Rosa at 5.
I had no scheduled regional boards or committees prior to my Sonoma Clean Power that I attended at the beginning of the month.
Nothing to report.
I also have nothing to report. City manager.
Just real quick, the newsletter will come out tomorrow. It comes out the day after the council meeting, and we're going to be having our first business visitation set up by the chamber tomorrow at Ace Hardware. And I think that she's trying to schedule another one for next week. So Chief is also going to be part of that, which we thought was a good idea at his request. That's it.
Alex, nothing? Okay. Okay, do we have council direction on any future agenda items?
Yes, I was going to throw this one back out again for the Esmeralda presentation from the city manager and city attorney on the process that the city will be making. I have received a bit more detailed letter from Devin Zugel that does explain the process quite a bit more than what was put out publicly. I think it would really be good and a benefit to our public to understand what the process is that our city is taking and really what the factors that we're going to be deciding on ahead of time before it kind of comes up last minute. And if anybody is still watching that did make a public comment earlier, some of the answers to your questions, you can email Devin and talk to her directly. So there's another opportunity for community members to get their information.
I agree that people need to get their questions answered, and it would be great if we could have some sort of town hall or something where they could talk to our city manager and to our city attorney about Esmeralda. It seems like the public's asking to get questions answered, and I also still think, regardless of whether people want to have a discussion or not, but I think it would definitely be important to get a new environmental report on the Esmeralda Resort property, if at all possible.
Yeah, if it's warranted, I agree. They should, do another EIR if it's warranted. I don't necessarily.
So, council members, if this is something we want to put on the agenda, certainly we should put on the agenda, but we shouldn't get into discussion right now about what would be required for their environmental review. That will obviously come before the council, but since it's not on the agenda tonight, we should limit it. But certainly if there's support from a majority of the council, we could put that on a future agenda item.
Okay, so the first one was you wanted the...
Well, yeah, mine is, there will be, these items are going to come to the council at some point, so I do understand that. There is the talk of a virtual environmental workshop that would be like a Zoom meeting, so they, the ALC can take care of that directly. As far as what I'm suggesting for a future agenda item would be presentation on the steps and what the city will be deciding on, from the city manager and the city attorney, because the council hasn't made any decisions. The questions wouldn't be for the council. So I think that's an opportunity for the community to ask questions from city manager, city attorney, the opportunity was not there at the town hall. So this would be something different.
Just what I said before that, I think it would be great if people had the opportunity to ask questions of the city manager and the attorney, and also for a future agenda item, if we could have a discussion on asking for a new environmental report on the property.
Council? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have nothing. Nothing. Okay. I think I got a comment on this, and I've heard it a lot. I've been in quite a few talks with Devin, and the virtual came up, and I think that's what we decided on that. So she would be willing to answer any questions virtually.
She's not the person to talk to.
Okay. So she said she would answer any questions virtually. Also, I'm in agreement on this one right here, and I think maybe Kevin and Alex that we sit down. It doesn't need to be a town hall, but some type of forum where just explaining the process, what the city's doing. There's just been a lot of questions about it. Granted, they've been here for 2.5 years and people haven't been there or didn't understand, but maybe they need to understand again. So I think that would be a good idea. I'd like to see that happen.
Thank you for the support, Mayor. I appreciate that. And I think that recommendation would be just a simple presentation. I certainly think the public comment period could be pretty long, but the presentation might be just a simple presentation at a city council meeting.
You guys would be willing? Okay.
I've heard from a majority support for a presentation in a future agenda item laying out the process for what this will come before the council.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
What will come before the council. And
thank you.
So can I ask, how does this affect the meetings?
so we won't be discussing the substance of the project. And so just to clarify that, the Vice Mayor is asking, under state housing law, there's limits on how many projects,
How many meetings?
how many meetings a project can be considered. Though that limitation doesn't apply for this particular project because they're seeking zoning changes and some other things. Other types of projects we've had, like Asty Road Apartments, were subject to that because they were not trying to go under our existing procedures.
Thank you. Right.
And just to comment on the second proposal from Councilmember Morgenstern, and this would be a question for the attorney as well. You know, the EIR is going to be something that's going to come to the council. So certainly I think there is a time to talk about that. And I would kind of reiterate the words from Mayor Wheeler that I think the virtual workshop is a good next step, and that would be on Esmeralda Land Company to do that.
Exactly. Right, anything else? Anyone? All right.
So just to clarify, I mean, do we want, so to clarify, the proposed addendum would come to the council for review and consideration. The council could reject it and say we want a full or environmental document.
Right.
Yes.
Wait, what were you saying? I don't.
Yeah. So I was just explaining the process briefly, that the proposed addendum to the EIR will come to the council for review, and the council at that time can make a decision of whether they want something more or are satisfied with it.
Yes, we'd be in support of waiting for that.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. We will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 8:57.